The 2024 British Grand Prix is exactly the shot in the arm Formula 1 needed. It's exactly the race that the sport needed. And I'm going to explain why, because there are so many reasons why. And I mean, if you guys have seen my 5 things review of this race, you'll know that there's a lot that I just couldn't mention that happened in this race because there was so much going on. And that is an abundance and embarrassment of riches, where normally it's quite difficult to think of 5 very significant things that happened during a race. It's pretty tough, to do these reviews. But with this, I had the opposite problem for once. It's rare that happens. I've only really had that with Canada this year. The British Grand Prix and the Canadian Grand Prix both proving why wet weather running in Formula 1 is just majestical. It's one of the best things you can see in sport, let alone motorsport. And this British Grand Prix, it absolutely has reignited my proper interest in the sport. Like, I love the sport, but it is difficult to watch at times. But I think it will have done the same for a lot of other people as well. And I don't just mean because Sir Lewis won. I mean also because, the sport was under a bit of a cloud after the Austrian Grand Prix. Things were turning heated. Now, thankfully, I am separated from F1 Twitter and things like that. I don't go on there anymore, but I can only imagine the absolute flame war that was taking place on that platform. I mean, we've seen plenty of comments on our YouTube channel, on our other programs as well, which is great. We want to get you guys engaged. We want to, hear your opinions at the end of the day. But, it was turning nasty between some people at the end of the day. And there was some not particularly amazing comments aimed at me as well. But this is the thing, it's such a passionate sport, and we've all got our opinions on it. But what can't be denied is that after Lando Norris and Max Verstappen collided at the Austrian Grand Prix, things were not looking too rosy really for F1. It kind of seemed like, there was people on, Norris's side who was saying that, Verstappen just run him off the road and it was wrong, and it's, nobody is allowed to challenge Verstappen just because he has to win all the time. And then there's people on the other side that say, well, Norris, could have done better, could have bided his time more. Maybe he shouldn't have dive bombed as much as he did. He aggravated Verstappen into doing that. So there is both sides of that. But at the end of the day, you had 2 guys taking each other out of the front of the race. It didn't feel exciting. It was just kind of sad, really. It was like we really could have and should have had a much fairer fight here. And there was just so much going on in this race. I mean, obviously you had the dry, wet, and then dry again by the end. You had guys going on the track with dry tyres in wet weather conditions. You had so many drivers as well doing incredible performances. Nico Hülkenberg finished 6th in a Haas and nobody's talking about it. Just because the action at the very front was incredible, to say the least. You had both Aston Martins scoring points. Stroll 7th, Alonso 8th. You had Williams scoring good points. Albon up in 9th place, getting a pair of points for Williams. Heartbreak for George Russell in his home race. He started on pole position, had the water problem in his car, ended up retiring his car. You had a McLaren 1-2 for a while. You had a Mercedes 1-2 for a while. You had pit stop mistakes by Norris and McLaren. Verstappen looked absolutely nowhere for a lot of it. Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez went on intermediate tyres early on, didn't work out for them. I can go on and on and on. I mean, this was such an eventful race. There was so much that happened in it. I absolutely loved it from start to finish. I thought it was great. It was an old school race at first, guys just lapping as fast as they possibly could around a magnificent circuit in Silverstone, And then eventually the weather came. It threw a spanner in the works. The McLarens came on because of that, and then the real rain came and they had to go onto the intermediate tyres. It was magnificent. This is exactly what Formula 1 needed. I loved it. There were no safety cars breaking it up. There were no red flags breaking up. It was just pure action from start to finish, and it was brilliant. It was honestly brilliant. I think, without a doubt, the best race of the season so far for me. I think Canada is a close second, but I would put this quite comfortably above personally. It's at least a 9, maybe a 10 out of 10 race for me. Fantastic. And yeah, I am so excited to see what Formula 1 does in 2 weeks' time in Hungary. And of course, we'll be there to cover it, and we're bringing you all the news in the next 2 weeks from the pinnacle of motorsport. But yeah, guys, British Grand Prix, best race of the season so far. Let us know in the comments below. And yeah, follow, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff.